All right, welcome back to Life Fit with DVD. Thanks for being here. Today, I wanted to talk more about the human design chart that I had brought up on yesterday's video and how we can read it a little bit better, get a little bit more comfortable with looking at our specific, unique genetic blueprint because that is what it is. This is you in the most intimate sense of all of your qualities, all of your traits. It is you, and even people that have the same birthday as you, their life and their traits are going to look different from you because it's not just your DNA, but it's also your nature and your nurture, right? What environment are you in? What conditioning do you pick up from other people, your parents, your caretakers, your siblings, all the people in your environment. This is why human design is so powerful as a self differentiation tool because it allows you to separate out you versus the other. And, ultimately, I just wanted to look at a overview of these charts today just to try to help you get familiar with what we're looking at here. So let's jump into it. I have my human design chart up here. And as you can see at the top, right, this is the foundational chart. Genetic matrix is just amazing, and the amount of different looks that they can provide. And it's overkill in a lot of senses, but it really helps you to understand how deep this stuff can go and how you really want to look at it because there's so many different components and teachings in all of this. You have the I Ching, you have the Kabbalah, you have astrology, you have the rave. There's just so much to this that it really is the most specific and unique version of you. So if you like depth, if depth is what you love, and especially, if you really want to deeply understand yourself, this is going to cover it better than any sort of Myers-Briggs, Big Five, Enneagram stuff out there. I have gone into that stuff as well, and it's certainly helpful for sure. But this is the depth. This is the depth that I prefer, and I like to go through. And ultimately, it's really just an amazing tool to understand yourself. So. Going down through the traits here, right? We have our foundation chart. The quantum is the unconscious side, so the red characteristics here, and the personality side is the black characteristics here. So these black characteristics are really how you perceive the world, and it's the conscious side. It's what you actually think about in these different aspects. And then the red side is the unconscious side. So this is what other people may see in you when they see and view you. Once again, it's important to not get caught up too much with these traits because the interpretation is going to be different for everybody. If you see something that you might perceive as negative, well, you don't have to perceive it as negative. It's just one trait out of the 26 that there are here. And even if you don't see that in yourself, maybe somebody else sees that in you, or maybe it's just something that you haven't experienced yet in this life. That you don't recognize, but when you bring awareness to it, right, that can help you either identify with that trait or to separate from it. It doesn't have to be the be all end all because ultimately, right, this is you, right? You can consciously choose how you want to interact with this information. And ultimately, right, this is an experiment. Ra himself has said, the founder of it, that this is an experiment. And that is very important to realize that even though this is your genetic blueprint, right, take what works for you and discard the rest, right? I mean, if you find yourself violently rejecting it, then toss it, right? You don't have to come back to it. But maybe if you are having that sort of reaction, it might be worth looking a little bit closer at, and realizing that, hey, maybe there are some aspects that of yourself that you might not want to recognize. But ultimately, it's just such a great tool, and I don't want to get into the good or bad sort of thing. Let's just go through the overview here. So you got your birth name, birthplace, right? I believe that works by time zones, so it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. At least at the high level, but I think if you're getting into some of the deeper levels, right, that is important for a good location, specifically time, coordinates, right, it's pretty much the same, years, and here we are. We have your type, right, so I am a pure manifesting generator. I talked a lot about in last week's videos strategy and authority. Here it's called inner authority. So the strategy and authority are the most important things in your human design. They help you make the best decisions, how you should go about interacting with the world, and identifying with these themes, whether you're feeling satisfaction or, right, you're experiencing frustration, that not self, anger. You can also look at anger. I just realized that I cannot see my mouse here, so I'm wondering if I can try to fix that. All right, I am back. Just realized that the the cursor setting is on. It just, for whatever reason, it's not showing up right now. So I'll work on getting that fixed. Maybe I need to do an update or something to that degree. But I can hover over things and you can see them. So we'll go through this list and then we'll just keep it super high level so that I'm not going into things that you can't see at this point. Oh wait, I see it now. That's so weird. All right. Okay, it's back. All right, so right, we were just going through your strategy and authority here. So for me, it is to respond, right? And then your inner authority is sacral, right? My sacral here is lit up. It has a consistent energy to it. Backing up here a little bit with all of these 26 traits, right? 13 conscious, 13 unconscious, so 13 personality, 13 design, right? They light up gates in your human design chart, your body graph. I mean, however, you can use that website too, right? They all light up different gates here, and in these gates, right, you will find energy, and the energy, when they connect to a different area, right, that provides a unique energy for you. So when these gates light up and you have them on both sides, that completes a channel. And some areas, right, some centers are going to be open, right, because I don't have a gate on the other side. So these are called hanging gates when they happen, and these are open centers or undefined centers. So I have a undefined ajna center, undefined head center. I can go into the meanings of these at another time, but ultimately, right, the areas that are defined, that are colored in, are your consistent energy. So I have a consistent sacral center, root center, splenic center, ego or heart center, and throat center. And then my G center and solar plexus are also undefined, undefined here. So everybody's going to have a very different look. Their chart is going to have a very different look to them. You can ignore the arrows and the numbers up here, just off to the right of the traits. That gets into the PHS and primary health system and different environments and that sort of thing. Once again, this stuff goes very deep, and I just want to cover it at a high level right now. So you have your centers here, and outside of that, strategy and authority, right? To me, the most interesting aspects of this are 70% of your personality, which is in your sun and earth. So these are the two traits at the top here. So your sun is the first one, your conscious sun, and then you have your conscious earth here. So mine is in the 6-1. That is my sun. Right, that is the gate 6, the gate of conflict and friction. And then my earth is the gate 36, the darkening of the light, the first line of resistance. So all of these gates, they have different degrees. This is the astrology aspect to it. There's different degrees, or lines, we call them in human design, to these gates. So each different line is going to be color the gate aspect a little bit differently here. So in my conscious sun here, the gate of friction, right? The first line is retreat. And, for me, when it comes to conflict, my first instinct might be to, where can I, retreat to process this sort of thing that I'm experiencing emotionally, right? This is a open center here. So typically when you have an open center, right, you're absorbing the environment that is around you. When you do have a defined center, right, that is somewhere where you have that consistent energy that is you. That is your nature, right? My open solar plexus right here, the undefined solar plexus, is nurture, right? So if you have an undefined center, you're going to be taking in the conditioning of your environment, the conditioning of other people, and especially when you are a child, probably getting conditioned in a very particular way around these open or undefined centers. However, right, when you look at the defined centers, right, that is you, that is your energy, right? So you can absolutely receive conditioning in these centers, but it probably will be more related to gates that aren't defined in that center. And there's obviously a lot to this, just going over it at a high level. So going through the centers, right, you have your head center at the top, your ajna center. Under that, then you have your throat center, right? This is what makes people a manifester versus a generator or projector, reflector. Then you have your G center down here, your heart center, your splenic center, solar plexus, sacral center, and root center. So a 9-centered being here. We have this, and there is, a bit of a description on how we've gone from a 7-centered being to a 9-centered being. But I can get into that at a different time. So, right, these are our gates that are active and the planet that they're in. So we have the sun, earth. These are our nodal polarities. So the north node, south node. We have our moon. You have Mercury, Venus, all of the planets here. Going down to Pluto. Pluto is included. And then you have them all on the other side for the unconscious side. And this has the design side. The design side is the red colored traits and areas here. And so my birthday was September 16th, right? My design side, and this is when I believe the neutrino crystal drops into the being. Um, that happened on June 17th. So that is the snapshot of the energy at that point in time versus the energy on your birthday. Um, so that's how you complete the unconscious side versus the conscious side, and just the high level traits, right? Each gate has very unique energy. Each line has a unique description to it. This gets into the I Ching, right? If you look up the I Ching, right, you can get all of the descriptions on what your specific trait is. And I mean, you can notice, right, I have gate 6, line 1, retreat, gate 36, darkening of the light, resistance. But you come to the other side, right, you have your unconscious sun, which is the gate of standstill for me, line 3 of confession, and then the grounding unconscious, the gate 11, the gate of peace, and line 3, which is the realist. So every single gate that you have open is a specific trait within you, or you could look at it as like almost like a card dealt in a hand of some sort of game, right? These, right, your sun and earth are your main cards. They're 70% of your personality. The rest are just other aspects to you that kind of color in everything else. But this is just a unique way to kind of just put some sort of name to aspects of yourself that will help bring awareness to who you really are in this world. If that is a struggle for you, right? For me, I have an open G center, so I do not have a defined identity or direction, and that's right for me. That is the right thing. So some people have a very clear idea of what they want to do and how they want to do it and the direction that they need to go. Other people don't, and that differentiation is huge to be able to realize that about yourself. That some of the things that you might feel that maybe things that are wrong with you maybe are not things that are wrong at all and are just you living out your design. Now, on the other hand, right, if you're experiencing this frustration or anger, right, your themes around your strategy and authority, then maybe there's something, maybe you're responding or you're not using the right strategy for you. Maybe you're not using your correct authority, and that's causing that frustration or anger. But this is why, right, if we're making decisions, if we're thinking about operating through the world, then we need to be thinking about it in our strategy versus authority. So yeah, we have our design down here, our personality. Yeah, you can still see the mouse here. So I'm not going to get into these at the moment. My channels are down here, so I have 4 defined channels connecting all of these defined centers here. And I think really the other main things I know I just brushed over here. So my type as a pure manifesting generator, I have that sacral center defined and connects to the root, runs all the way up to the throat, which makes me a manifestor generator. If I didn't have this gate 48 and 16 connected, then I wouldn't be a manifesting generator. I'd just be a generator. And I think to that end, right, the next thing down here is your profile. So your profile is also a moderately important aspect. So I am a 1-3, so that is the 1 after the 6 here. under the sun and my conscious sun and earth, and the three under the unconscious sun and earth. So these just color in your basic role that you play throughout life. And consciously, for me, that is investigating. I investigate everything. I know a lot about a lot of different things because I'm mostly just very curious. If I'm thinking about any sort of subject, I want to investigate it thoroughly before I partake in that experience. The other side of that is unconsciously how that looks to other people. Well, it's the martyr. Now, the martyr is more of a trial and error or an experimentation out in the world sort of vibe to it. It's all about taking in, seeing what works and seeing what doesn't work. And I would probably say that other people would think that I do a lot of experimentation, right? With my journey, coming this far with self-development and building good kind of just self-growth habits, right? It's taken me a long time to find human design, although I've at this point probably been playing around with it, learning it for 8 years at this point. So ultimately this is about consciously understanding and investigating the system. Does it how does this work? What are its merits? And that third line, right? Seeing, is this going to work in the world? Is this going to help people? And frankly, I find this human design system to be incredibly helpful at self-differentiating yourself, understanding yourself, so that ultimately, if you understand yourself, you can understand how you interact with the world, what you're doing, your strengths, your weaknesses. I mean, it's a beautiful gift. It's a beautiful gift. And the last thing here, so I have a single definition. So single, there's all sorts of different definitions. That's around the speed at which you process this information. For me, I have a single definition, so that means there is one channel connecting everything here. So there isn't any breaks. So if let's just say my head center and ajna center were defined through this 6447 gate, I would have a channel here. I'd have a channel, and this channel would light up the head center and the ajna center, making them defined. And then there would be a separation still between the throat and the head and the ajna, and that is what would be called a split definition, or a narrow or small split. So because that would be one island, and then the rest of this would be another island, that's what constitutes the split definition. Because I don't have that, right? I'm just a single definition. And the main thing about that is when you have a single definition, it makes it easier for your body to internalize, the information, the gates, what you're processing. When you have split definitions, right, they don't always communicate with each other 100%, in the way that so they're just defined, they're on their own island. So you might need some sort of other energy to kind of connect those two separate islands that complete the you. You want them to be able to talk to each other. So when you have a single definition, that means everything is connected and integrates quickly, versus a split definition or triple split or quadruple split, which integrates things more slowly into the body and the being. And then, yeah, the last thing here really is the incarnation cross. I mean, some people think of this as their life's purpose, but it is kind of the theme that you will experience throughout life. For me, I am a right angle cross of Eden 3. You can look those up separately if you want. If you really want that life purpose look of how your life will kind of be colored in. Um, I was just talking with some other people around their business, and interestingly enough, they all had, I think it was the right angle cross of the unexpected. And that was all about arriving and consistently finding themselves in unexpected leadership positions. And ironically, they all are in a leadership position in their own business, and their birthdays are all together, and they all have this same incarnation cross, which is absolutely fascinating. That they're all all have the same incarnation cross and pretty much found themselves in that unexpected leadership position that is coloring in their adult life. So just absolutely fascinating stuff with this. So if yeah, I think that covers my high level overview right now. Let me know in the comments if you have further questions. I'd be happy to answer them, or let me know what you'd like to talk for me to talk about next. Otherwise, I'll just keep going through it and working through the chart and different aspects of it because I love talking about this stuff. It's so fascinating. That this is our genetic blueprint, and if we use this as our playbook, not only can we help ourselves, but we can help our children as well, right? It's such a crucial aspect. They say that oh, kids don't have a playbook. Well, they have a very specific playbook. If you look hard enough and you want to see them grow into the best version of themselves that is them, right? Take a look at this. It's so powerful. So let me know if you have any other questions, and like and subscribe if you enjoyed this high level overview. And until next time, I will be back then. All right, talk to you later. Bye.